Hi everybody, welcome back to Stationeers. Okay, so last time we continued with some of the preparations of the Winterspawn. Since then I've been just duplicating them, so waiting for them to grow. They do seed, so I've managed to get 3 spare seeds and I'm keeping them well away from the room just in case the worst happens. But yeah, so if that room fails, we've got a backup that we can revert to. So all is good on that front. How are my filters doing in here, by the way? Probably need to get a new one at some point. Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, while I've been waiting for the Winterspawn, I've been kind of monitoring various systems around the base, seeing how they handle. It is very apparent that I have over-planted my switchgrass. I cannot get the Larry... Well, the Larry does not harvest these all in time before the next lot grows. So I think I could have halved this, and it would have been somewhat more efficient because it wouldn't have to travel as far to do the harvesting. Is what it is. We learn, so we will remember that next time. With the Winterspawn, so people are correct. They say that they only produce the cold whilst they are fully grown, and that is right. I have turned this filter back on now, so we have started gathering our volatile oxygen. Now, it's a bit weird, the filter. I don't know why, but we seem to be slightly over on the volatile production. No idea. As you can see, the filters are also different. We're going through more volatile than we are oxygen. I don't really know why that is. Not going to worry about it, because I think realistically what I should have done is split this. Is what it is. Move on. So as you can see, I've got 5 spots remaining, and these are all growing. They're all thriving. I messed up on the code. I don't know if anyone spotted it, but basically with the grow light, where you would obviously set on to either 0 or 1, I stupidly set the on to 1 and 2. So the light was just on all the time. It took me a while to figure out what was going on. I was just manually amending the lights and thinking I was doing something wrong, but yeah, that's what it is. And since I fixed that, these have been absolutely fine. So they are just happily growing. We've still got plenty of water. I'm not concerned in the slightest. So yeah, we're all good. Over here, we still have our oxygen, which we're dumping heat to from the room if it gets too hot. So you can see we're on 30 degrees, and that's still being radiated into the greenhouse. All good. We set up all these little systems. That pipe is now empty. So I was taking that down. To be honest, I forgot to continue with that. So we could tidy that up a little bit now, without taking those frames out. There we go. And take you down as well. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do with that oxygen eventually is I'm going to dump that into the greenhouse, and the greenhouse will take that excess oxygen and it will just stockpile it for me. So that should be good. And obviously we've been collecting our nitrogen. We're still on 10 MPa here. Our pipe segment, that tank, is now on 2.81 megapascal. So we've got a lot of nitrogen. Because bear in mind that that pressure is connected to a very large tank. So yeah, we're good on nitrogen. I've also played with a couple of these. So the pressure of the room is currently 61. And what happens is we always get a bit of a build-up in this pipe whenever we pump some in. It's just because the gas holds in that pipe before it gets let out into the room. So this captures it. So I've got this set to an input of 63, but this does go well over it, so we capture it. This one is set to 62. So this slowly lets the excess gas into the room, in which I've kind of built a bit more of a system in here. But yeah, that's all holding. That's all working. Fantastic. While I've been just staring at them, waiting for them to grow, monitoring them and all that kind of thing, I've been thinking about how you're supposed to really use these. Because my first thought was, well, if the room, like we cycled the room atmosphere and we just capture traces of it as it goes and eventually it'll get cool. but it's never really going to get colder than the room temperature because we have to make sure the room stays around 25 for them to be happy. So taking the cold out of the room via pipes, like moving the gas, is out of the question. That also means radiators are out of the question as well. There's no point in trying to absorb the cold into a pipe. It's just not going to work. You're gonna exchange the heat, and it's just going to get messy. I can't think of a way of getting the cold out this room without using an AC. So that's what we're going to do. I think it'll work. I think it'll work well. And yeah, we're basically going to replace... So we're going to copy this system. So we're going to have an AC set to the room temperature that we want. But that is going to be connected to our nitrogen pipe there. And what's going to happen, or what I think is going to happen, is the Winterspawn are going to cool the room down. And so that AC is not going to cool down. It's going to try and warm the room up. And it does that by drawing the heat from the waste. So it will take the heat out of the waste, dump it into the room atmosphere, and keep the room at a relatively high temperature. It shouldn't take long because that tank is obviously very hot. That whole pipe network is 458 degrees. So I think that'll be fine. And what will happen slowly but surely is that eventually I think we'll get the nitrogen down to room temperature. But it will continue to draw heat out of there and dump it into here. And I think it will get that pipe down to around 70 degrees below the room temperature. Not 70 degrees, 70... I think there'll be a 70 degree difference between them. So I think we'll be able to get that nitrogen down to about -50. I think. And if we look at nitrogen, go to Celsius, -50 is here. We are still well within the gas. Now I might be wrong and it might continue to remove heat from it, but I'm going to just play with it and test it and see what happens. So I'm hoping we can get this done before these grow. Until these produce Winterspawn, they won't output any cold, so we've got some time. So let's go and get some bits and bobs printed. So the first thing I'm going to need is the atmospherics kit. I'm going to need the pipes for the atmospheric kit. We already have the cables. So I'm then going to need some more insulated pipes. For those pipes, I'm going to need some steel. There we go. I'm going to need some more passive vents. And I think that should do it. So let's get back into the room. There's probably something I've forgotten, but we'll find out. Okay. So we still haven't got... Oh, we have had a growth spike on them, so we need to get this working at some point relatively soon. Okay, that's a spare nitrogen filter, so that can stay there for now. So that is the pipe segment that I need to connect this AC to. Now I haven't left myself much room. I also can't remember. Oh, that is just backup, isn't it? That is just to allow us to hold more in this pipe network. Yeah, okay. So my thinking is I could move this. This could go anywhere, to be honest, and we can shove the AC down. And I want to see the control. So if we were to put this, I mean, to be honest though, we can stretch it across here. I might need some more pipes. But I'm going to put my AC at the back here. The original plan on the room has now gone to pot. I was supposed to have like glass windows and everything in here, but that is not happening. I'm gonna move that to the right one because I need to be able to get the waste connected to that pipe there. So let me run that across. Gotta love a little bit of pipe spaghetti. There we go. So we've got that pipe connected. Now, obviously, all we've done is increase the volume in there. it doesn't matter. It just means we're going to hold more nitrogen in there long term. I'm not too concerned about that. What I want to do is get this AC built. So we need pipes and cables. And then what we want to do is we want to connect both the input and the output to the room. So let me use a corner there because that would work better. I probably should paint these pipes because, you know, there's a lot of pipes in a small area. But what are you going to do? Let me go and get some more insulated pipes. While we're here, I think I'm also going to need a couple of digital valves. And I'll explain why shortly. Okay, so let's get this connected to the rest of the ventilation system. And the input, I'm just going to leave it here for now. Because I think that itself will create a somewhat cycle. By this vent being over here, we'll suck it in and it will get output the rest of the room. I think that'll be okay, but I guess we'll find out if not. So now I need to connect the AC to power. And we should be able to turn this on. So let's get this set to not 40. What we'll do is we'll go for 24. Because what that will do is it will try and get the room to 25. Because that's what we've done over here. We've got 24. And if we look at the temperature, we're on about 25. So we're all good. What you'll also notice now is we are getting some growth on these, so shortly they will probably start producing cold. So it's better to get this up and running sooner rather than later. Now we have the waste connected to our nitrogen reserve, which is obviously at 459 and the pressure is increasing. And then we have the input and the output of this room both at 24.9. Now I'm gonna just turn this on. Now, the efficiency is terrible. It's actually non-existent. The reason for that is because the difference in temperature between the waste and the room is too high. It is well too high. But that is okay. I think also the room being at the temperature that it's at is probably also meaning it's not processing anything. So my hope is that if we were to turn this AC off, this room should start warming up. And as you can see there, we've now got air displacement because this one's kicked in. Okay, so this one is now trying to keep this room at 25 because, as someone pointed out, setting this 24 actually means 24 point anything. So that's 24.9. If it's coming down in temperature. Now you can see at the moment that AC, it's not working. But that's because it can't dump the heat of the room into anything. It's trying its best, the efficiency is just too low. And as you can see, we're not seeing any change on that line either. Okay? So what we need to do is once these are started to produce cold, we will come back to this and see if any change has occurred. You can see there it's kind of holding at 25.1. It's not going up ridiculously hot. But just for the sake of keeping the plants alive, let's turn this one off. Let's turn this one back on. And that should bring the room back down. Now you saw there that I think we've just taken an injection of nitrogen. Because for a split second there, the temperature spiked. Oh no, they started producing cold. Let's turn this on. Oh, so they did start doing it. I thought we had to wait for them to grow up and start producing Winterspawn as a product, but they don't. They're doing it now. Okay, so if I just check that again. If I turn this off. Is it doing it? Oh, where did that cold come from? I don't know. For a split second, we had like 20, it went down to 23, 22. Interesting. Very interesting. Turn this one on. It might be that that one is currently trying to warm the room up. So by switching the two off, one of them spiked for a second. So I turn them both on. I think now they're both probably fighting against each other. So if I turn this one off. Oh, there we go. So there is a weird temperature spike happening. We did just pump in some nitrogen, as you can see there. But the temperature is holding pretty well. Okay, anyway, we will come back to this once they have grown. That one is currently keeping the room under control, so that is fine. Now, I need to go and place a passive vent outside. Because if this system is going to work the way I think it's going to, we are going to start drawing the heat from this pipe and dumping it into this room, which is going to bring the temperature of that pipe down to hopefully sub-zero temperatures. That is my hope. Now, what we need to be careful of is that we do not get to a point that we start liquefying the nitrogen. If that happens, we're going to get pipe breaches. And our pressure is going to eventually be well up here, so we know for a fact we're going to hit this. If we get any lower than, say, negative 80. Let's go with 80 for safety. I think it'll only get to like negative 50 or negative 54. Sorry, 46 maybe. I don't know. We're talking numbers. I don't know. But we'll see what happens. But in order to control that, because this will just keep going and going and going, it doesn't care about the temperature of that pipe. So we need to put a safety in. Now, we can't just turn the AC off because then we risk killing the plants. So instead, we may have to resort to just dumping out the cool. And the easiest way of doing that is going to be to connect this pipe to this pipe. This pipe is basically going back outside. This is the waste pipe after we've taken in the nitrogen. We kind of exhale the pollutant and the CO2. Along with the nitrogen which is coming in, because that's connected to a passive vent. Now, I think what we do is we basically move the cold from one pipe to another pipe, and we connect these up via valves. We could use a heat exchanger. To be honest, that might be a safer thing to do. I feel like using valves would be quicker, though. Yeah, we're going to go with valves. I've got an idea, so we're going to go with it. And if I'm wrong, then whoopsie. So, if I connect you there, and we put you there. Okay. And then we connect these two up. Now, what I don't like the idea of... Actually, that is not going to work. Because that is going to allow gas to flow two different ways. Not great. We are going to end up contaminating our pure nitrogen. So actually, you know what? Maybe we do go for the heat exchanger option. We can use a valve there. Because that is just going to be nitrogen on this side, nitrogen on that side. Absolutely fine. But between this and wherever we're going to dump the heat... dump the cool... Oh, actually, no. I'm being stupid. So, all we want to do is... So, remember that this is just going to constantly take heat out of this pipe and put it into the room. That's the idea. So we could just connect this pipe outside and just put a radiator on it. Obviously split by a valve. So what we'll do is turn you off for a second. Uh-oh. Let me do this. There's a chance that pipe's going to blow up if I'm not quick. Duh, duh. Duh. Duh, 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 duh. Duh. We're good. We're good. No breaches. We're happy. We're fine. Everything is okay. And then what we'll do is we will have this go out. And that will just connect to a digital valve. Which can go there. And then we connect that back into the waste of the AC. Okay. So if we need to heat this pipe, we can turn this valve on. If we need to cool it, or if we want to use the cool in this pipe, we turn that valve on. So all I need to do on the outside is connect that to a radiator. Now, because I'm stupid, and I know I'm stupid, let's put that there for safety. Let's go and get a couple of radiators printed and get those put outside. I'm going to need some steel sheets. And I'm going to go for a medium radiator. And I'm pretty sure the radiator just needs the steel sheets to be built. It does. Okay, perfect. And then the only other thing I think I want is a steel frame. Just to sit that radiator on. So let's get one of those printed. Okay, so it looks like I need to do some drilling because I have misjudged where that pipe is coming through. So let's quickly get this dug out. Okay, so we are going to place the steel frame here. We're going to get you welded. Don't need to, but we'll give it to anyway. Stick the radiator here. And then all we need to do is get that pipe connected. This radiator will work without putting the sheets on, but let's go to try and do it properly, shall we? Now, this is an absolute waste of insulated pipes because this is all going to be for just dumping out cold. I could just use normal pipes here. I'm just using what I've got. That is literally the only reason for this. Ignore the mess. As long as it works, it works. Now, this pipe should be empty, which it is. While I'm out here, I don't know how this has happened, but we have a small amount of CO2 in there. Now, I'm not overly concerned because it's a very small, insignificant amount to the point where the volatile is basically still 6-7%. I just don't know how the CO2's even got there in the first place. I'm not going to worry about it. But as you can see, we've got 30 megapascals of fuel. We are ready to go with this stuff. So now what should be happening is we'll slowly be starting to build up a surplus of oxygen. Because we shouldn't be pushing any more fuel into the system. I better go and do as the lady says and get some hydration. Okay, so it looks like our Winterspawn are grown. And as you can see in here, well, for a second there, it was 22 degrees. And as you can see, the temperature is coming down. So they are now producing the cold that we're after. This AC is no longer working, but what that will be doing is starting to draw the heat from that oxygen and try and dump it into the room. However, the heat is not high enough and it's only got access to a single vent. So instead, let's see if our system works. So I need to get that valve connected. So let's do that relatively quickly. Bring that down here, that there, that there. We'll turn the valve on and that will just fill with the hot nitrogen. And then we'll turn this on. And what I'm hoping will happen is that will warm this room up. There you can see, look, we're now warming the room up quite significantly. We're also getting pumps of nitrogen coming every now and again. So that too will also be warming the room up. Unfortunately, I don't think this is working the way I hoped it would. What if we crank this up? Ah, there we go. 23.4. So it's really trying now. So I don't know whether it would have let it get to 23 and then it would have stopped there. So I think maybe setting this to 25 should keep it at 24. Yes, that is exactly what is happening. Okay, good. Good. These two valves are pretty dead. So you know what? Let's just... not valves. They're called filters. So we go duh and duh. And these guys are just my... I'm just going to call those spent. I'm not going to waste time using the last few percentages. Let's keep on top of them. As you can see, we are maintaining a temperature of 24 degrees in here now. They are all producing cold, but we're keeping it. And I'm hoping we will start to see this nitrogen cool down. So what's going to happen for quite a while is that it's going to maintain the temperature because we're still dumping in hot nitrogen. As you can see there, that pump is still on. So this is still pushing. Now, what we could try and see is what happens if we set that to be 3 megapascal as opposed to 30. Let's find out. Got my laptop. We're going to just take this out for a second. Import. Put you back in. Continue looking after the room. So, down here, we've got our outside tank pressure and our nitrogen tank pressure. And here we can see that we've got the inside pump and the outside pump. So, I think when we load the pressure from the outside tank, we're currently making sure that it's less than 50 megapascal. Let's change that to 3. Okay. Get the chip. Export. Put it back in. That should close that pump, which it has. So now, you can see there as well, the filter's gone off because none of those pumps are on. It is not going to give me any more nitrogen. And what we should see here, I hope, is that that temperature will start dropping. Very bloody slowly. I wonder whether we even need that valve, because that will now be bottlenecking. I think what's happening here. So the temperature of the nitrogen is going. I think we've just got so much gas in there that it's going to take a very, very long time. Very long time to get any kind of cooling from that. What we could do as a temporary kind of test to this, we want to reduce the pressure. Now, I don't want to waste the collection nitrogen that we've done. We've been doing that for ages. So what we could do is just chuck on some utilities on the outside and really bump up the volume and reduce the pressure, and we'll just see what that does. This also isn't working constantly. As you can see, it keeps flicking on and off. So there's that. I'm going to go and make some utilities. We're obviously keeping these alive, and as you can see there, we've got Winterspawn seeds. So we'll wait for them all to grow, and then we'll get the seeds, and we've got like a backup. Let me go and make some insulated utilities. Right, I'm going to leave those printing for a second, because what I'm going to go and do, and this is all just testing, let's go and reduce the pressure requirement of the tank from 3 megapascals to half a megapascal. It won't dump what we've already got, it just means it will last a lot longer. But what it means is when I put the utilities onto the network, I won't start pumping more in. We have lost a degree in temperature. However, if we wait for that, we'll be waiting all day. And all we're doing is basically keeping these plants alive. We're not gaining any benefit from them. Or no, like, short-term benefit anyway. So, on my code, set you to 500. Okay. It won't affect anything. The entire room will still work absolutely fine. It just means that we will be able to put additional volume on that network without causing any issues in here. There we go. We have 10 utility kits. Let's see what that brings the pressure in that network down to. And I'm going to need some more insulated pipes. So let's get those. We've run out of steel. We've got 46 there. Make me some pipes. This is going to make 5 of the large utility things, whatever they're called. What are they called? Oh, inline tanks. Yes, yes, indeedy. I am making the wrong thing. Okay, make one of those and then do pipes. Thank you. Okay, we now have 6 of the large inline tanks. I never did get that cold furnace working. I'm not sure I'll ever bother now, to be honest. Okay, so that pipe there is nothing. That is... I'm going to get rid of that because that's just going to confuse me. That pipe is just, I think, pure nitrogen? No. That's the pipe for the input of the filter. We don't need that here. That can go. That's fine. Okay, so I just need to connect some inline tanks to this. So I'm just going to chuck them. You know what, actually? I always just chuck them on the wall. Let's make something, I don't know, something that I think is considered as interesting. Let's have them stood up. They don't have to be in the wall. We can do what we want. Yes, we'll use more material because you can kind of connect each of them to each other, but is what it is. This is fine. That pipe is... No, you know what? We'll just... You know what? We could do it at the top. Now, that should have reduced the pressure in there by a lot. I am very, very wrong. That tank has so much in it. That was an absolute waste of time. Okay. So, I guess what we could do is have another large tank. That will bring the pressure down to half of what it is now. I'm going to need some more steel. There we go. There's our first batch. There's our second batch. And there's our third batch. I need to make sure I keep an eye on my CO2 because this was at a time 1.8. But again, if we manage to get the cooling working on the Winterspawn, we should be able to bring this in larger batches and more often. Okay, so I have a total of 10 tanks, which should allow me to build 2 more large tanks. This might be an absolute waste, but I'd really like to see if my theory here is correct. While I'm waiting for those pipes to print, let me quickly go and check back on the room and make sure everything is still working as expected. There's no reason it shouldn't be, I hope. So the Winterspawn are standing proud and tall, so they're all ready to have their seed whipped out of them. And as you can see there, the temperature is going up. Why is the temperature going up? Oh no, it is going down. I think that spike is caused by the airlock. I think it takes time for it to recover and we keep pumping in more and more nitrogen. But again, because the Winterspawn are cooling the room, it's reducing the pressure, and so that AC is constantly working. I don't know if there's a better way of sorting that. I think I have that set to... I think I reduced it to 59 kPa. Yes. 59. So they will have to cool down a little bit more in order for it to kick on that pump. But the idea I'm hoping is that this will continue to dump more and more heat out of here. And as a result, keep this room warm without the massive spikes that we keep seeing. But again, I think that's just the airlock. If I stop coming in and out of the room, that should help. You can see there, look, the displacement is from the Winterspawn. But I mean, it seems to be working at the moment. We're seeing that go down to 450. But yeah, let me go and put these tanks. This room is still working. Airlock obviously causing issues. Because now what we've done in there is we've increased the pressure. So it shouldn't be... it shouldn't pump in for a little while. That back pressure regulator there will now be taking some of that and storing it into that tank. And as the pressure cools, that regulator at the roof should start slowly leaking it back in. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll put it in quick enough for the pump not to kick in. Now, part of me would like to say that what I'm doing here is going to be temporary and I will eventually take them down. However, I think it'll take a long time to remove the pressure from these tanks. So I'm tempted just to leave it once I've got them up. But we will decide on that at a later date. So I want you to be kind of in the middle. Just reduce the amount of pipes that I'm going to need. Okay. So if we get... Whoops, that's my wrench. So by adding 3 of these tanks, if I connect to the top of one of these inline tanks, the pressure in there should drop considerably now. Oh, there you can see, look. We are going to lose so much pressure in there. Whoops. I think it will... Let me think. Okay, we're going to balance that out about 1.10. Maybe not, actually. Maybe it's going to go... It's got to equalize between all 3 tanks. So it probably is going to be about 1.10 because we're going to lose some pressure in that tank. This one's going to go back up. There we go, look. Okay, not 1.10, about 1.8. Yeah. But what we should hopefully find now... What? What's critical? Oh, my jetpack. Okay. What we should find now is that they are more... well, that they will react to temperature changes much quicker. But let's put... Let's check that, shall we? Because I've always said that, and I think it's right. I don't know if it's the pressure of the moles. The moles will be the same. The pressure is now dropped. So if it starts cooling down much quicker, then I know it's pressure. Num 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 num. Okay, so we'll go back into the room, and now we will see that spike happen again. Today you can see, look, the pump is now trying to compensate because it's lost pressure to the airlock. But what we should hopefully see is this go down somewhat quicker. We're going to have to wait for the room to balance out, though. In the meantime, let's check. Are you guys good? 100% growth efficiency. Light efficiency 94, a bit of stress. You seem to always get stress in your plants. I checked all the ferns, everything in there. They've also got a bit of stress, but they seem to be fine. It says that they're currently... Well, they're fine, that they're not dying or anything. Okay, so if we check, so we're on 452. The temperature in here is currently 24 degrees. The pressure is rising. So are we still pumping in nitrogen? No. So what's happening is it's cooling. That AC is then warming the room back up. So we're kind of yo-yoing between the two. I have a feeling this could take a very long time. On the plus side, if we get that nitrogen down to a decent temperature, it might mean we can dump large amounts of heat into it. It could last a very long time. My thinking is that we will get this connected to our water, which we're going to look at producing somewhat soon. Other ways of cooling the water would be use a Stirling engine. To be honest, I don't need to. Power is absolutely fine. The wind turbine is more than sufficient for what we're currently got in the base. And I can't be bothered in setting up a cold room for the Stirling engine to work in. There's no point. Again, I could connect it to this, but I just don't need the power. So I don't see the point. Okay, I think we leave this room for now. I'm curious, if I take these seeds, I assume these guys are still going to continue to produce the cold. Aren't they? We can now put them here. And we've got plenty of spare Winterspawn seeds. And we can see they are still producing the cold. You can see the air displacement. So yes, they don't have to keep the seed within the plant, which is good. You're still what you are. Oh, we may have just lost a degree. We've lost a degree. Way, this is bloody slow. To speed this up, more Winterspawn would help. Because the AC isn't on at all times. Adding multiple ACs isn't really going to matter because the room only requires so much heat in here. So I'm not too concerned about that either. The pressure efficiency, I don't know why that's low. The pressure efficiency is between the input and the output. What we could do... Oh, we don't need to. I've still got some pipes. Let's connect the input to the rest of the room. Take that vent off. Put a pipe there. So you are currently working at exactly the same. You're making no difference whatsoever. But we aren't seeing that drastic drop now on the pressure input. It's maintaining because it's connected to all these vents. So that's all pretty stable. Every now and again, I see it. One way we could make this really cold is by sticking another AC on it and having the waste as this. Because we can get a 70-degree difference between these two pipes. So we can give it a bit of a head start. I don't know if that's even worth doing. Screw it. We've got a spare AC. This isn't needed anymore. Right, and let's stick you here. Well, I need that needs to be my waste. So we could have it like that. My issue is my cable is in the way. But this cable is basically looping around the... Wait, I could connect this cable to here. Remove this. And then just connect that up over here. So let's quickly do some cable tidying.
Storm incoming.
Oh, there's a storm coming. That's fine. That's fun. Right, so if we connect you there.
Storm incoming.
Shut up. I'm gonna have to move you here.
Storm incoming.
Or I could have it Ignore the mess. This is going to be really messy. But ignore that. We just want to see if we can get it working.
Storm incoming.
So if I put that there, the input needs to be connected to there.
Storm incoming.
This can loop round into there. And then the waste
Storm
goes
incoming.
to here. Okay, it's starting to look rather pipe spaghetti, but I know what it all does. And that is all that matters.
Incoming.
Right. Let me... What do I need? Cable. Nope. I need the screwdriver.
Storm incoming.
Is that in my tablet? No. That's in my suit, right? There we go.
Storm incoming.
Ah! What?
Oxygen low.
Oh, that's not the
Storm
thing.
incoming.
Remind me where the hell I have that alert coming from. So I thought... Oh, is it in my suit? Oh, I don't know.
Storm incoming.
Don't worry about it. I'm not bothered. Right, and then let me get you guys connected
Storm
to
incoming.
here and here. Right, you need to stay on. The temperature of the room has
Storm
dropped,
incoming.
but that's because when I connected that up, that shut down. There we go. We're bringing the temperature back up, so we're good. So you, my dear friend, let me think.
Storm incoming.
So I'm gonna go. So this pipe currently is 150 degrees. Okay. So we've lost a couple of degrees from it, but let's get you set
Storm incoming.
to 370. Okay. So that should remove the heat from this pipe,
Storm incoming.
dump it into this pipe. The efficiency might not be great. So we're on, there you can see the efficiency is dropping and going up and dropping and going up.
Storm incoming.
But that should... I mean, to be fair, I could bring you all the way down to here if I wanted to. It won't make any difference.
Storm incoming.
I think the issue here is the temperature efficiency is 36%. The temperature differential is
Storm incoming.
going to drop slowly as this pipe gets cold. I mean, I thought that was going to do wonders, but it's doing very little. It is dropping.
Storm incoming.
As you can see, we're on 448. But, yeah, it's got a way to go. But we'll leave that on.
Storm incoming.
Ah, I need to stop that bloody alarm when I'm in here. I don't have access
Storm incoming.
to the heavy cable, because what I need to do is get to another... If I'm in here, I shouldn't hear the alarm, because I have that occupancy center there. So I'm going to have to run this cable. Or do I? Because I read from the occupancy sensors, don't I? So I could just put on... I either run that cable all the way over to there, which, to be honest, I should have done anyway. It's all running off the greenhouse power. Or I use a mirror. Although I'm going to have to jump 2 different networks. It's probably easier just to run the heavy cable across. Can I run? Nope. It's going to go across the ceiling. Yeah, let's do that. What's that? It'd be fine. It won't take me too long. I'm going to make some a couple of sensors. One for the Winterspawn room. One for the airlock to the Winterspawn room, and one for the airlock to the greenhouse, because it just annoys me that I get the alarm when going through the airlocks. Or well, going through the greenhouse airlock anyway. I will get it if I only put a sensor in the room and not the Winterspawn airlock. We've still got about 5 minutes before the storm. So if I stand in here...
Incoming.
Yeah, so what I should be able to do, if I set up the code properly, which I probably didn't, is if I just do this...
Storm. Incoming.
And put an occupancy sensor there. Does that stop the alarm? Yes, because what I did was I think I set it so that if it's greater than 0 or not equal to 0, then it's not going to give me the alarm. And obviously, I could put as many sensors as I want on the network, and that will just continue to work. So if I get enough cable, all I've got to do is plug him in without any additional coding, which is really good.
Incoming.
Okay, so if I plug that in there, stick a sensor. Where's my sensors?
Storm. Incoming.
If I stick a sensor there, that alarm should stop. Which it has. And then if I just continue to run the cable into this room,
Storm. Incoming.
I should get rid of the alarm. Perfect.
Storm. Incoming.
Huh? No, you're a liar. Why in here does it work?
Storm. Incoming.
Because, my dear friend, that sensor is not plugged in. That should work. Yes, perfect. The alarm is gone. Ah, look at this. We've now got this down to 439. The efficiency on this will be dropping slowly. Room is recovering, but that's because obviously I've used the airlock again. Is what it is. But yeah, everything is working. We're keeping the Winterspawn alive. But yeah, this is going to be a long-term thing. For now, we're going to have to just keep... we're basically going to use power for quite a long time until we get our nitrogen to a relatively low temperature. Again, I could reduce the pressure, or I could get rid of some of the nitrogen, but that feels like one hell of a waste. But we've not done bad luck. We started at 464. We've got it down by, what is that, 25 degrees? With the help of this guy, but he didn't do too much. But yeah, I think just got to be a bit patient with this. We'll come back and revisit it at some point. That valve isn't connected, and I don't really need to worry too much about that right now. Mainly because I don't have a way of cabling it in. But that's a problem for another day. Right, let's go and sort our inventory out a little bit, and then decide what we're going to do next. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do, I think we've got that oxygen. We've got that oxygen line that's in the Winterspawn room, which we don't need in there anymore. So I'm thinking we just get that pumped out into the greenhouse and allow the greenhouse to kind of deal with it. So if I get a pump made, just need some iron. And I did have a passive vent, which I think I've just put over here. I did. So this is the vent that is currently... Wait, no it isn't. That radiator there is what's currently venting out... well, not venting out anything, sorry. It is trying to keep that oxygen cool with the greenhouse. So we're actually putting strain on the greenhouse cooling. So let's get this sorted out, because we don't have the AC there anymore. So this is pointless. What I don't want to do is just overly fill the room of oxygen. Because that wouldn't be good for the plants. I don't even know if we need a pipe at the end. We don't. We can just do that. Okay, so if I just get you connected to power, like so, if I turn you on, we should... Yes, so we're now leaking that oxygen into the room. So while that does that, obviously on this side of the room, it's going to take a second for the pressure to start building up. But this guy should kick on once the pressure hits a certain limit. There we go, it's on. So we are now gaining oxygen in that network there. Boom. So we'll just take all that oxygen out, say goodbye to it. We've had it for a while, to be honest. We traded it in liquid form. We've used it for kind of keeping getting the Winterspawn room down to a sufficient temperature. And now it can just go into the rest of our system. And, yeah, just do its thing there. So what we can do is start tidying this up. Just make sure we don't take out too many pipes in one go, because it will bump up the pressure in there. Although we've got a little bit of leeway here. Need to be very careful not to take that frame out. How we're looking, 20 megapascal. We can keep going, that's fine. The inline tank that we've got in here is probably helping with this. 22 megapascal. Yeah, I think we'll be alright. Taking it all the way back to here. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of you. And then we can just tidy up these cables. And then I think what I want to do is I want to get this place decorated, because I've not really done too much. So let's give it a quick makeover. There we go. So just adding a few walls and the floor and some lighting in here really changes a room. It feels much more finished. Obviously this AC won't be staying here. This is only until we get a good portion of this kind of cooled down. That's what I'd like to do. Once we've got it down to a point where this AC isn't doing anything, we'll rip it out, and then we will solely just use the cooling from the Winterspawn. I think what I might do is I might make another batch here. I don't know if that's overkill. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up with the heat requirements. But we will give it a go, I think. In hindsight, I would have done this here in the middle, because I think that would have looked nice. That's something that I will consider on future playthroughs. I added a light switch because even though I know you can have the sensor for the room to come on automatically, it's nice having a switch. Feel like you're a little bit more in control. That pipe network is still not empty, but it's getting there slowly. I mean, to be fair, I could probably remove that utility there, and the pipe is still there, but obviously the pressure is now moving to the other ones, so that's fine. But all in all, I would say relatively successful. I would say it's working. A part of me kind of thinks I should still go for the window thing, because I do think the airlock has a massive impact on the room. So what would be good would be that I could come here, I can see my stats kind of like on the wall or something without having to go in, just have some windows. And then we go in there if we have to. But that way I could have this airlock ripped out, share the atmosphere with the greenhouse. I can walk into here with my suit and I can just see how it's doing. So that's something that I will probably set up before the next video. Because what I want to do, well, I would like this to get cold so that I can start using it to cool my base. It would be nice to rip out the ACs. Well, the stack of ATs that I've got, have like a single one for each room, which could just dump heat into here, and our Winterspawn can keep it cold. And I think that'll be fine. I do think that'll be fine. But yeah, okay, so a little bit of a different episode because obviously I've decided to edit this one. I'm gonna we're past the point now of where it's a let's play. I would say we've got a working base. We are pretty well established. We're not really struggling for anything. So there's no point in seeing every little thing as it goes. And I do think as well that going forward, I will probably cut the videos down. Because there's not much to see. Like, it's just like building stuff and whatever. I mean, the main concept of the room I've kept in, or hopefully I've kept in. Who knows? And you can kind of see what we've gone for. But yeah, I don't need to be having 3-hour videos showing very little progress. We can get that brought down so much more, and it means that I'll be able to well, I spend the time obviously editing it and whatever. But yeah, we'll just put more into a small amount of space. Well, a small amount of time, I think. So that's what we're going to try going forward, if I can be bothered. But yeah, a few little things to do in here. And then after that, I think I want to start getting the base polished up. There's no reason for the entire base to look like... oh, I left my lights on. I mean, the greenhouse is done. I mean, I could plant each and every plant, but I'm not going to do that on this playthrough. I don't need to. So we may as well get all this finished up, get it all tidied. It's all functioning. It's all working. To be fair, I'm going to turn him off. Because we don't need him. We'll look at all that we've got in there. So yeah, we can get all this decorated, get some lights put in here. We'll get that pipe ripped out once it's empty. Tidy up all the crap that we've got. Our oxygen should be building up. Yes, so now that we're not producing fuel, we are now stockpiling our oxygen, which is a-okay. So that's good. So yeah, I want to decorate the greenhouse, get it all tidied up. A few little bits in the Winterspawn room. We've got a lot of filters in there. We're dependent on a lot of the filters. So we'll get some like alerts put up to tell us when filters are low, that kind of thing. Get this place lit up, figure out what the hell I'm going to do with all this charcoal. Because it is just stacking up here. I'm hoping we'll be able to increase the speed of this. It's up and down all the time. I'm going to wait until we've got the cooling up and running from the Winterspawn, and we should be good. Apart from that, not really much to do in here apart from decorate it. Get this decorated. This room's pretty finished. I'm not going to worry. I could automate this. It was a little bit easier, but to be honest, I'm quite used to now only putting 1 or 2 stacks of ore in at a time, and I'm not too concerned. Yeah, get all this tidied up. Move this locker. The recycler and the centrifuge can stay there. I guess what we could do, and I wasn't going to, but we could set up a couple of the deep drills, and then I never have to go mining anymore, which would be really nice, considering power is never an issue. We may as well use it. And we've got the fuel supply to power a combustion centrifuge. So yeah, maybe we'll do that. Get this place kind of sorted out. I mean, we don't need the suit on in here. I keep forgetting that now. Look, I can breathe. And then, yeah, I want to see if we can get some of this stuff finished. Yeah, I mean, add safety filters. Can't even remember what that means. More lights, deep drills, printer stackers, automate furnaces. There's a lot on here. So let's start getting this wrapped up, shall we? Because it's getting to a point now where I'm not making much progress day on day because it's kind of just little bits. I had a play with the graph. This one is showing whether I am increasing or decreasing the amount of charge that I have, but to a factor of 1,000. With the hope that it would be a bit more of a small number, it would show up on here better. It doesn't. I don't know. Not sure what I'm doing with that, to be honest. But yeah, so we are gonna call it there. So thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.